hi to the 5 people who are here because you know me, and anyone who accidentally got sent this way by the algo. I'm Nora, for those of you who don't. I've decided finally, after many years, I'm going to start documenting and my thoughts as I process all that's happened, all that I've done, all the choices I've made in the last 10 years that so many of you have asked me about. I'm going to start with the walk. So it's been 10 years. It was 10 years in October when I started a cross-country trek on foot from Southern California to Boston. I want to tell that whole story. Then I lived in Maine for a year. Then I moved to Egypt for 5, 3 in Cairo and 2 in Sinai. Then back to the United States, California specifically, to see and spend time with the grandbaby. But in the midst of that, I also moved into my car almost a year and a half ago and have been living SUV life since then. And I'm ready to tell the stories. I'm ready to answer the questions. And I'm going to start with the couple of questions I get the most often. I'll have videos, I'll have photos of all of these things that I've done, whether it's traveling internationally, life in Egypt, life in Sinai, my cross-country walk, my walk on the Camino, my walk on the John Muir Trail, or just my random life in Maine and my day-to-day life in the SUV. So I'm going to be starting up here. I'm going to be editing together some stuff. I just need to get a decent computer. But I wanted to start out with just processing my thoughts and answering some of your questions. And the first one is going to be, aren't you afraid? That's the second question that I get most often. The first one is why. That has a longer backstory. The most common question I get is, aren't you afraid? And it's only recently that I realized why I'm not. And with apologies to my family who I love, the reason is I grew up in a household and an environment that was terrifying to me. Now I understand that I'm a highly sensitive person, or what we would now call neurodivergent. As a kid, loud noises, and I grew up in a house with very large personalities, loud voices, and occasional violence. And it terrified me. And the reality is that, in my opinion, there was nothing out there that could be scarier than what was in my own home. And for all that that's messed me up, as any of you know me know, on the flip side, it's given me the freedom to enjoy a kind of life without fear that I never would have otherwise. Now, let's be clear, I'm only talking about physical fear. I'm terrified of the emotional stuff. But when I'm outside, sleeping in my car at night, cuddled up, I feel safe. Maybe it comes from hours and hours hiding in my closet with a flashlight and a book because I was so afraid of what was outside that darkened room. But as I said, it might have sucked at the time, but it gave me a lot of freedom now. So, what's next? So if you guys want to follow this journey, and by this journey I mean my emotional processing of the last 10 years of the journey and what's next, join me, do the usual, like, subscribe, blah, 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 but also let people know, for so many years, whether it's former students of mine or friends or people I met randomly or people who read newspaper articles, people have had a million questions for me, people who drove by and found me on the street. So if you're any one of those people and you have questions, please put them in the comments. I'd love to answer them in future videos. And also, let me know if you don't want your story. If you met me along the way and you don't want your story to be featured, you can always send me a comment and say, I won't name names. I won't name names unless you ask me to. But in the meantime, like, share, subscribe, and let's figure out what's next with Nora.